Hey, what is up guys? Welcome to the first video of BroccoLedge. This is Broccoli. In each video, I'm gonna share some knowledge with you. Hope you find it fun, interesting, and meaningful. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. Imagine you're in your classroom while the strictest teacher on campus has their back facing you. Writing letters down the whiteboard, all of a sudden, this goes out. Like an unhinged wild horse, your teacher turns back, exasperated. You yank your eyes to your backpack, feel like your blood curdled. But fortunately, it was not your fault. Everyone stared at the ill-luck person, scowled by the teacher, all embarrassed. And you're like, ooh! Well, this has something to do with a famous person in history. You have probably heard of the phrase Pavlov's dog at some point. For many people, the name of Pavlov rings a bell. His most famous research in the 20th century is only called Pavlov's dog nowadays. In this video, we're going to talk about the experiment Pavlov did on us, Pavlov's dogs. Oops, shoot, excuse me. Ivan P. Pavlov, a Russian, well, technically USSR physiologist, was influenced by American behaviorism psychologist John B. Watson. Pavlov devoted himself to discerning dogs' digestive system, which earned him Russia's first Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 1904. However, he was not satisfied by what kind of award he gained. He was driven by a lifelong passion for research, which eventually earned his feisty prestige in human history. Pavlov was initially interested in digestion and the action of salivary glands. He would put food in the dog's mouth to cause the animal to salivate. Incidentally, Pavlov figured that the dog started to not only salivate to the taste of the food, but also the mere sight of the food, or to Pavlov and his assistants that sent the food, or even at the sound of the deliverer's approaching footsteps. Pavlov found these confounding secretions as annoyance at first. However, some insights popped into his mind. He realized that these behaviors of dogs appeared a simple but fundamental form of learning, associative learning. In order to explore the phenomenon more scientifically and objectively, they tried to eliminate confounding variables and other possible influences. They experimented. They isolated and fixed the dog in a small room in a harness. Pavlov would sound a tone right before placing meat powder in the dog's mouth to produce mouthwater. After several associations of bell and food, the dog began to drool to the bell alone. In later experiments, a buzzer, a light, a touch of the leg, even the sight of a circle set off the drooling. This works with human too. If you're just triggered by the chime, that means you're as well trained as I am by Apple. Or you can show this clip to an Android user and see their reactions. Dogs do not learn to secrete saliva to food in their mouths. Instead, food in their mouths unconditionally and automatically triggers them to do so. Pavlov called the food under this context as unconditioned stimulus, and this salivation as unconditioned response. On the other hand, the dog's salivation in response to a bell is learned through associative learning. Dogs learn that the ring of the bell was linked to food. Therefore, since saliva will help animal to swallow, the dog will start drooling unconsciously to the sound of a bell because the bell means food, and food needs saliva to help to be swallowed. Thus, we call this response conditioned response. The bell, as a previously neutral stimulus that was meaningless and would not trigger anything, is now called conditioned stimulus, as it stimulates the dogs to salivate. In our case, we associate phone chime with unread message. The message is unconditioned stimulus that requires us to pick up our phones to check. The action of fishing our phones out is unconditioned response here. After a while, we get used to the ding sound and link the sound with unread message. This phone chime is conditioned stimulus, and our action to search for our phones due to the phone chime is considered as conditioned response. Well, I gotta clarify it. This is not a perfect scientific example, but you get the gist of it. All of these together is called classical conditioning nowadays. The name is because Pavlov's 20th century experiments, now psychologists' most renowned research, are classics. Thus, the phenomenon Pavlov explored is named as classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is happening in our daily life, whether you realize it or not. We, humans, are constantly being trained just like other animals. Don't you feel like your mouth is wet when you see kiwis in the grocery? A baby that has never tasted kiwi wouldn't salivate when he or she sees the sight of a kiwi. Wait, that's actually a better example than the phone one. Well, hope this will help you understand it better. With that being said, I really hope you guys enjoy this video. Thumbs up if you like it, ring the bell if you love it. I will see you in the next video. was influenced by American